Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. Now, if you skipped the last recording, don't worry, this recording won't have any politics in it other than to mention that I bet Trump the Hearthstone player is going to get a lot more YouTube views. Nice selection on his card, his name, and it makes a lot of sense too to name yourself Trump even otherwise because Trump card game. Alright. So we need a victory with the Paladin or Priest. We need 10 Pirates to be played, which would be the Rogue deck. And then we overload cards to be played, which would be the Shaman deck. So we've got a considerable amount of stuff here. I suppose we'll start with the Rogue and ranked. Standard Rogue ranked. I don't have a ton of things to talk about. I was able to do an entire recording just about politics last time, and that certainly helped, but I only have half of my board here. About 4 of the things written on there, 4 of maybe the 16 things I've written here, have directly to do with Dishonored 2, because that just came out. And you just never know. This is the problem I've consistently had. I have no idea how long a conversation can go on. Like, my first topic here is BlizzCon cosplaying. That's all it says. That's all I've written down. And that could be either as short as a sentence of, I saw some BlizzCon cosplaying, or it can be as long as I'm going to try to make it. Which, I mean, I suppose I could, if I can bloviate enough, if I can keep on talking long enough, I might be able to go an entire episode just talking about a single topic. But on the BlizzCon cosplay, I looked at that, and it's kind of interesting. In BlizzCon, the only characters that it seems like anybody dressed up as, or that they were allowed to, that Blizzard's website highlighted, were characters from their games, and really only characters from World of Warcraft. Maybe there were some people dressed up as like Diablo characters, and I just missed them. Here we go. But as best as I can tell, it's all World of Warcraft things, and if you're dressing up as a World of Warcraft character, you're also dressing up as a Hearthstone character, because all the characters in Hearthstone are World of Warcraft. The other element, I suppose, would be Overwatch, and I guess there wasn't enough time to make Overwatch clothes, or maybe they specifically were only showing pictures of World of Warcraft clothes, because I didn't see anybody from Overwatch on there, and there wasn't any StarCraft people. Yeah, come to think of it, this was the only World of Warcraft cosplay they showed. They must have intentionally done that, because there must have been at least a few people dressed up as the other characters. Here we go. Some of the StarCraft, some of the Diablo, some of the Overwatch. Do they have anything else that they are doing? That they've done as far as that? No. Now it's just Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and Overwatch, and Hearthstone, which is World of Warcraft. So here we go. Kill this guy. So all I saw was World of Warcraft, so I have to rephrase this. The cosplay I saw in there, all those characters had a lot of armor on. They had a lot of intrinsic detail on their armor, so it's not just people in metal steel suits or something like that.
Trust the pirate's code.
They all had some pretty big weapons. Well, and compared to a comic book convention, a fantasy convention, a sci-fi convention, a Star Trek convention, Star Wars convention, and definitely compared to an anime convention, a shocking lack of skin for cosplay. So maybe maybe Blizzard specifically only took pictures of people who were mostly in full armor and stuff. I think a lot of the characters in World of Warcraft probably do wear a lot of armor. I don't think World of Warcraft is bad at all about having the bra armor, the bikini armor going on. There was a couple of characters that had midriffs. It wasn't like they were all 100% fully clothed. But compared to how a lot of cosplayers are, in my opinion, and this has been my development thought, is a lot of cosplayers really should just realize that they're exhibitionists more than anything else, and there's nothing wrong with that. That they just want to show off their bodies, and usually they are in a decent amount of shape, and usually they're young too, which makes them visually appealing. Although I'm far too old to be saying things like that. But this wasn't like that. Also, kind of a lack of variety in their cosplaying. It really was costume cosplaying, which I'm not used to seeing. The costumes might as well have been on mannequins and just rolled up on dollies in a lot of places. Because there seemed to be a 100% focus on that. And that's very interesting. And Star Trek conventions are mostly like that because in Star Trek there's only the blue aliens that are really in risque clothing. Or some of the original series stuff are slightly risque clothing, but most of the Next Generation and the rest of the people, particularly if you're in Starfleet uniforms, you're almost fully clothed head to toe. Star Wars is a little bit worse because they have the bikini and chain slave Leia thing, but none of the other characters have anything like that, so that's why you can constantly see lots and lots of people in the bikini slave Leia outfit. And speaking of Star Wars, they just did a trailer for this Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, which apparently is a comic book that was running before Star Wars, and Star Wars heavily, or at least moderately, stole character designs from that comic book, so this will be interesting, definitely. Let's see. Attack.
Here we go.
I can get this combo going. Alright, but I can't.
On with the show!
So there's that, and Valerian, maybe this new whole new series, cinematic universe. I don't know how many cinematic universes we can have though. DC's cinematic universe is not succeeding very well so far, and Marvel's is still going pretty strong with Doctor Strange coming out and people liking that pretty well. That's actually a very good card from me here. That's a thank you moment.
Thank you.
Just desperately trying to save himself. Here we go.
Tonight, a tale of terrible
Here we go.
I wouldn't have won if I hadn't gotten this card, but that's fine. So, comic book characters. In general, the comic book characters aren't too bad either. If you go to a Comic-Con and see people dressed up, it's like you've got your Witchblade dressed up in scantily clad clothing. Who else is popular though? Ironically, at the comic book conventions, probably the second or third most scantily clad cosplay you're gonna find is Slave Princess Leia again, because of the overlap there. So, yeah. But then the BlizzCon didn't seem like it was anything like that, and I don't know if there's rules to that. I don't really care to research it. In a lot of ways, I kind of don't care either way. There probably needs to be a division there, and there probably needs to be a family-friendly element there. So I would say at a convention, all costumes must be family-friendly, I would say, until a certain part, and then after a certain midnight, you could have your adults only thing. Just the same way we do.
So many options.
Same way we do TV stuff. It's just say, look, family friendly cosplay. If you want to do it, it's between when we open up in the morning till midnight. All the kids are gonna have to go home and go to bed by then. So after that, you're fine. If you want to come out in moderately scantily clothed, it still probably is gonna be unacceptable to be doing something along the lines of Elfin Lied, which is just a girl in a helmet and bandages, and that's an anime convention. The anime conventions in particular, lots and lots of skin there. But then I think also, I think the genre of anime in particular, there's not enough there that you could or should be showing any of it to your to kids anyways. You can show them My Neighbor Totoro and the Miyazaki stuff and just call it a cartoon. But anything beyond that, the Miyazaki stuff, it's always the Japanese sentimentality, in which they don't really care about nudity and some jokes that a lot of parents would care about. So the mentalities are just so different. It's just not a cartoon. There aren't anime cartoons out there that most parents would say appropriate, and because of that, then why would you take them to an anime convention? So at that point, I don't think you need to really follow the midnight element. But this all also falls down deeply into a thought about how much, if not all of the cosplayers are there to win and have no concern actually about the convention. They're to win prizes. How many of them were paid to be there as advertisers and such? There's an industry there that's certainly strange. Now at BlizzCon, I don't know about BlizzCon unless Blizzard specifically paid people to cosplay, and I don't know why you would, or I don't even know why you'd encourage it. I also think at a certain point, the cosplay just needs to be its own separate thing in a separate place. Because it's a distraction, and having it in the ways of the actual, there are different sections in conventions. There's the sales section, where you go to buy stuff, and then there was the speeches sections where you go to listen to speeches, and there's usually some kind of congregation sections where you can either play old video games or board games or something like that, and then there's a cosplay section. They should just all be the separate things, and it's kind of this false culture of 5 different people who may very well not really even be there for the same reasons, but they're in general, in a very, very general way, all like anime. Or whatever the name is called.
No quarter!
Let's see.
Here we
Guess I'm
go.
just gonna have to waste this because I don't want to lose it. So interesting thing to see, but we need to move on because again I could talk about it, but is there anything new to say there or talk about? No. I will say, since my only interest usually is in the outlandishness of cosplay, which it tries to be outlandish. I was only a few episodes given the side eye to a bunch of young kids who are probably too young to actually be playing
Tonight, a tale of
Borderlands, dressed up as Borderlands characters and Mad Moxie.
Drink with me, friend.
Give me this card, character back, and then play him again. Give a friendly charge. It can't attack the heroes this turn.
Die, landlubber!
Here we go.
Let's see. Do I want to give any of these characters charge? Not really. There's no hostile takeover threat to CD Projekt Red, according to CD Projekt Red. After all, they were simply showing it up for a theoretical hostile takeover attempt, which is, I think, one of the things I said, but maybe I didn't say it. It's like, it makes total sense that if your lawyers come into you and say, look, you only own 53% of this company. If somebody bought 2% here or 4 and 2% there, then you would not have a controlling interest. So
You
would
have
buy
the
more
artifact.
of it. Businesses are weird in general. It's if an individual person could say, I only want to own 51% of myself, so I'm gonna sell stock in me, and if I make any money I'll give you the difference there, or I won't even do that because there's preferred stock and there's non-preferred stock, and there's stock that gives dividends and there's stock that doesn't.
Simple fool.
That's not a valid target.
So this guy has to attack somebody.
Simple fool.
People would not agree to that in those terms.
Landlubber!
Not in a second would people say, yeah, I'll buy 49% stock in you. And then what if you get 51% of stock in that person? Can you really tell them to do something they don't want to do and it happens? No. And probably the same is true for business, even if you own 51% of stock. I imagine
Want a deal?
it's not super easy to force a
Here
company to go in
we
a
go.
direction it doesn't want to go. But the whole idea of businesses that big are problematic and weird,
Caffeine
and
shelters us!
I would prefer if all companies were private companies, and the ideas of owning stock in other companies is left away.
Enter the
If
shadows.
there wasn't this avenue economically to make money by the other people's work, I think it would force us
Here
to
we
rethink
go.
our economy and be a little bit more balanced about it. It also certainly allows you people to lose a lot of money playing the stock market. And almost all of that money is through retirement accounts. So there's a whole level of insanity here. A person works to earn their own money. They give it to some person who's basically a gambler, but they call him a stock portfolio manager. And he then goes and gambles with the hard-earned money you made. Let's see, we need to play overload cards this time. By investing it in other companies and hoping that their gambles and their attempts to earn money will be extraordinarily profitable, therefore you can get a return there. And really, it doesn't even have too much with actually making a product or selling anything. It's just a speculation and gambling stuff. If all of that was impossible, if there was just laws that said, look, the money you earn goes in your bank account, and that's what you're gonna have to live with for once you retire, and that's it, I think there'd be a lot of less gambled for and speculative and in general fake money going on.
Job's done.
There that exists in the stock market and the financial system in general. But that's an economics thing that I don't believe we'll be getting into. Although, let's see. I think we'll leave all of the Dishonored talk to the next recording. Darkest Dungeon has sold 1 million units and mod support is incoming. So, on the stock element there, their stocks probably went up on this information if they are a public company, which I don't know they are. And there are laws in the United States which force you into being a public company after a certain point. Which then again just makes it a mess.
One shot.
So that's more reason for me to eventually get to Darkest Dungeon, but honestly I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do for a lot of things because
One day I'll be a real knight.
I'm in this very weird position now. I'm doing Skyrim 75 hours in. Gonna try and keep that going. That's probably gonna go for at least 3 months into it, so January, February, March of 2017 at least. It may go all the way through 2017. It may go on forever. We just don't know. So that's taking up a time slot. The Black Friday sale is sneaking up on me. I was not prepared to even start thinking about the next Steam sale and what, if anything, I want to purchase then. I might very well, depending on what budget I can scrap up, I might very well just get like the new Tomb Raider game. That's possibly it. I don't think part of my problem is I have The Witcher 3 came on Good Old Games and I'd like to get it on Steam before I get the DLC or anything like that, so that's also an issue. Whatever. It worked out. Would I go back to The Witcher 3? I don't think I can. Not until Skyrim's done. And then do I get Fallout 4? At what point do I have time for Fallout 4? I'd like to play Borderlands at some point. Try to speed up that. I also have Bully that I was going to play at some point. Although there's no real reason there. If I get a year ahead on every single time slot, which I don't know if this is really happening or if I'm just taking a month to do a month's worth of work, and I feel like I'm accomplishing more than I actually Either one of those could be the case. So yeah, I have no idea what to buy on this though. Do I buy a bunch of just small independent games and build up that long list of games? I got Dirt 3 for free through the Humble store, which was nice. For a second there, I thought they weren't going to give me a Steam key. And just going to go, oh well, I got this game, but I'll never play that version ever. I discovered Assassin's Creed 1 has this, what is it called? Overhaul mod? Let's see. Assassin's Creed Overhaul is what the mod's called. And it takes the graphics from Assassin's Creed Revelations, which is the 4th game? Yeah, I believe. And it takes those assets and then puts them in the original game to make it look better. And the 2016 version of it is even better looking than the 2015 version of it. And they're working on the Assassin's Creed 2 Overhaul mod 2. What's ironic here is the Ezio compilation came out and they didn't bother to do anything. Now Assassin's Creed is only 9 years old, so maybe next year that something like this Overhaul mod will actually get bundled into Ubisoft's, I believe, and they'll come back with an Assassin's Creed remaster. I don't think so though, because if you were going to do that, you would wait on the Ezio collection. See, that would be very weird to put out a remaster there. But you could call it the 10 year anniversary edition and do that. If those graphics were improved, that would probably be a little bit helpful for everybody involved.
There is a lot at stake.
Let's see. So that's another mod that I might want to play with. I don't know how many mods I really want to get into though. Mods aren't finished products, and I don't want my channel to start to become this mod heavy thing. Even though I guess some of the Minecraft levels are mods in themselves, and the Hearthstone deck tracker is, I suppose, technically a mod. So I've been doing it anyways, but I'm not sure I want to go deep into it. Like if there was some mod for Resident Evil 4, which there is one that they're working on, that would actually get it to run the right way, that would be very nice. And then it gets back to the summer sale. I need to decide whether I
am Rafa, the supreme archaeologist.
Whether I want to maybe just save up for the winter sale too. The Black Friday sale and then a winter sale a month later. It's and then there's a Valentine's Day, which I don't think will really have too much of a sale. There's a lot of times to spend money there, and it's all right next to each other. Now, fortunately, Black Friday sales for other things, I think,
We
are
must
mostly
cleanse the Sunwell.
something I don't want to deal with. I haven't seen a good deal in several years with any of that. Let's go. Let's see.
Yes.
Victory. Then I'll play overlay cards. Probably not. And so, good news here for me at least. We've still got some stuff to talk about. I only played one overload card in that whole thing. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. I still got stuff to talk about in the next recording. We've gone 30 minutes. We went longer last recording because we were talking about politics. And as I said here, I only mentioned it a couple times in the word politics, didn't actually talk about it at all. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps out. If you want to support me further, you can go to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.